Stopbanks are compacted earth banks built next to rivers and streams. They might not look like much, but they are incredibly important in helping to protect us. In flooding events, when river levels rise, stopbanks help contain the water to protect our communities. But they are only designed to a certain level, so water can still overtop a stopbank in heavy rain events that are over their design limit. There's a lot of complicated engineering that goes on below the surface that we can't see, but it all works together to contain the water. It's important that stopbanks have consistent layers and the soil is well compacted and has lots of different sized particles to limit the amounts of gaps in the soil. This is because when water rises in the river, it is trying to find an escape path, the path of least resistance, and therefore the greater the resistance provided by the stopbank, the less of an issue the water poses. Water can still escape through the stopbank due to gaps. However, a well-constructed stopbank will control the escape of water to manageable levels. We call that escape of water seepage, but lots of things can damage the stopbank and allow the water to find places to escape more easily, which means the seepage becomes uncontrolled. If we take trees as an example, there's two issues. One is the most obvious. If a tree topples over in a flooding event, it will rip out a chunk of the stopbank and create a weaker and very big path for the water to escape. And the second happens below the surface. If a tree has large roots that are starting to rot, then the roots will essentially create a pipe for the water to easily escape from the river through the stopbank and up to the surface. Another example are fence posts. It's the same idea. When the soil is removed to form the hole, it affects that well compacted and layered soil, which again creates an easier escape path for the seepage to escape out of. In both these examples, the pressure of the uncontrolled seepage can cause the stopbank to collapse. We need our stopbanks to be in good condition so they have enough resistance to control seepage. That's why we have rules around needing permission to do work on or near a stopbank in the flood protection and drainage bylaws. If you live near a stopbank or other council-owned or managed flood protection asset, for example a flood wall, and want to do some development on your property, you may need a bylaw authority. A bylaw authority is written permission from the regional council that includes conditions to ensure flood protection and drainage assets are not damaged or compromised. You can see if your property is affected by using the online mapping tool on Council's website. It's important to note these bylaws are not a one-size-fits-all. This is because there are many different soil types across the Bay of Plenty, with each having a different resistance to water. It's these differences in resistance that make the risk of seepage from a flood protection or drainage perspective lower or higher depending on the soil type present. So, this means bylaw applicable areas are different depending on where you live. At the end of the day, these bylaws aren't in place to stop people from doing work on their land. They're in place to ensure any work carried out doesn't inadvertently affect flood protection and drainage assets that help keep us safe in major floods.